If you haven't already, crush that like button and crush that subscribe button. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and leave some reviews in the comments section so I can get some feedback. It is deeply appreciated. Hello, podcast listeners. You are listening to episode 9 titled, Don't Be Angry, Be Better. So, this episode is basically on the subject of when you're in difficult situations in your life and you're facing adversity. It's to tell you the last thing that you want to do is to let your emotions dictate what your actions are going to be next. See, for myself, I've been building sober motivation pretty consistently. I've been working on it pretty heavily, and something that I've just noticed as I've been building is that there's obviously people who are way further ahead in certain aspects where I'm trying to grow sober motivation, and it doesn't matter to me because I realize what it is finally like to not just be angry, but to work on being better for me, better for what I'm building, and just better quality all around. So to further on to that point, I came up with a great quote from Chris Bradford, and it says, "Anyone can give up. It is the easiest thing in the world to do, but to hold it together when everyone would expect you to fall apart, now that is true strength." And I really think that's what separates people from achieving the success that they want to just being overwhelmed and overcome by their own emotions that dictates what they're going to do next in their lives. So I think that it's important to think about ways in your own personal life how you can be better in just about any situation that you find yourself in where you feel like you don't have the upper hand on certain situations. So, for instance, I'm building sober motivation. I'm actually taking a radio class right now, and I figured out that my show time got brought down from Tuesdays and Thursdays to just Tuesdays from 8 to 10, which is fine. I don't really care because the way I say it, I could get angry that my time on the radio station has decreased, or I can think about, okay, that's where I'm at, but how can I be better than that? How can I be better than that situation of just being angry about what I see in front of me? Can I look at working on things on the outside, thinking outside of the box, which I think is another extremely important key to becoming better at whatever it is that you're trying to do, is thinking outside of the box. So just to keep going on to the point, one of the ways I figured out on how to be better for myself personally is just to figure out how you can be more self-sufficient in situations that you're dealing with. So I think something that really can separate you from being better than the situation which presents you, which makes you want to feel angry, is to kind of educate yourself on what it is that's going on and how to educate yourself outside of the box. So for me, for instance, I could be angry that there's a time slot for me that's not really quality for my radio show, or I can look at it and say, okay, look, that's fine. You gave me 2 hours on a Tuesday, but that gives me more time to work on my Instagram, my YouTube, my podcast, my promotion. So I'm not sitting there stuck in anger and taking it with me and letting it take me down. I'm looking at ways to work around the barrier that is presented in front of me, whether it's going through it or working around it, and doing my best to build what I think sober motivation should be. And I think that it gives you guys some insight as well to your own personal issues that you might be dealing with. For instance, if you're working at a crappy 9 to 5 job and you work with people that you don't like and you work with a boss you don't like, don't succumb to that anger or that unhappiness that you have with everything, and instead figure out how to be better in that situation. Whether it's, okay, I hate this 9 to 5 job, what am I going to do to fix it? That, in my opinion, just thinking about those ways of how you can actually fix it, it makes you a better person almost immediately. And then to go on through that point while educating and trying to figure out what you can do to make yourself better in that situation. Be prepared and ready and hungry to execute on what it is that's going to make you better. So if you're working that crappy 9 to 5 job with people you don't like, that is probably a temporary thing that if you're dealing with and you're working on making yourself into a better person, that you can overcome eventually no matter what. So something that I would look at as an example, as a way of overcoming that, would be, hey, can I take night classes? Hey, can I think of ways to save my money and invest into an education or an asset that allows me to have a little bit more freedom, or at least plant the seed for freedom so that you aren't chained and shackled. And I think that's extremely important. Another point to add on to that, especially if you're listening to this podcast, if you've dealt with or you're dealing with it with a drinking problem or an addiction problem of some sort, figure out how to be better than that. And I can tell you right now, with being sober for as long as I have and dealing with sobriety or having sobriety and being able to feel as though I for once have the upper hand on my addiction that I was chained to basically on a daily basis, to feel like I have the upper hand on that, and to realize that I have freedom now to go out and execute the things and the messages that I want to execute for my brand. It's a priceless feeling to have. And I think that it's such a great feeling for me to have that I have to communicate it to you guys, that the feeling of being better in a situation rather than taking something to heart to where it destroys you, it's just not worth it. So that is an extremely, I feel like, enlightening feeling. Something else too that I've been doing with my brand with Sober Motivation is that I've been kind of glancing around my peers to see where I feel as though some of my peers are at and how I can compete with them. And I realize I'm at a 8 to 10 time for a radio show, which is fine, but that doesn't mean that I'm limited to that. It means that, like I said, I can go onto Instagram. I can build my audience there, and I've just been loving it so far, since the message that I have is in my opinion noble enough to want to spread, and that people are accepting my message and willing to follow what I have to say, which I love. To me, there's not a price tag on that I could put on it. To me, it's just amazing. I'm like, wow, these people care. I've got people in Germany, people in Iceland, people in Canada, people in the UK, people in Ireland, people all over the US listening to a podcast of just whatever my thoughts are. And I feel like that's just a product of being better every single day that you can, no matter what, be better. Figure out whatever it is that you did the day before, that today you can do better, and do that and execute on it. And I can tell you this from just experience and from what I've been dealing with just building this so far, is that it is an accumulating effect. It's the compound interest that I was talking about earlier, that I know that has actually gotten quite a bit of hits according to my iTunes analytics, that there's a compound interest with being better every single day, because there's going to be those days where you're going to hit that wall of just being burnt out, right? You're going to face it. You're going to realize that, hey, today is not the day I got to sleep in, or today is not the day I got to take a break. But I can tell you right now that just from the continuous effort of working on being better every single day, for that moment when you hit that brick wall, you're going to be thankful for that effort that you're putting into what you're doing on a constant basis, because it's going to build that safety net for you to allow you to get back up after you take your rest and to continue executing on your plan each and every single day, or almost each and every single moment. I can tell you right now, for my sober motivation brand, I've been working on it daily. If it's not building the store, I'm building the website, I'm building the YouTube, I'm building the podcast, a Facebook page, Instagram, even on LinkedIn, Twitter. I haven't touched Snapchat yet, but this is probably a good reminder for myself. But it's every single day that I've been working on it, that the compounding interest of just working on being better, the better version of me every single day, the way it starts paying off as you're going forward, it's an incredible paycheck. This is what your paycheck from work won't pay you. It won't pay you that sort of satisfaction of the fact that you've worked on yourself, and that after you sit and kind of absorb the moment, you get to see where the growth is accumulating for you as sort of a payoff. So I think that's important, and just I would really, really hope that you guys could think about how to apply that in all of your aspects of life. If it's finance, if you're having an issue with finance, sit and think about, okay, well, what can I do to be better than what it is now? Can you figure out how to cut out an unnecessary bill? Can you figure out how to maybe work a different job or an extra job to pull in that couple of $100 extra? Can you learn how to invest? Can you figure out how to put a business together for yourself? Another thing is relationships. If you're single, can you figure out how to be better in that situation? Can you continue to work on yourself? Are you being outgoing enough and approaching people in a manner that is going to grant you the success of achieving in a relationship that you want? Or are there relationships in your life that are suffering for some reason? Can you go into those relationships and approach the people that are maybe feeling as though the relationship between you and them have declined? And can you put effort into improving the quality of that relationship? So if that means apologizing, then you do that. If it means just spending time with the person, then you do that. And even if nothing comes out of those things, of the effort that you've put in, what you've done, instead of just being lazy about the situation, you've put in your best effort, or at least an effort to be better than you were before, which, as I've said, it's just a crazy idea that just stay focused on being better. Don't let your anger, don't let your depression, as much as I can't say don't have depression, because I know for a lot of people there are medical issues with depression where you actually have to be treated for a doctor. But if you feel as though you're unhappy for some reason, and it means going to see a psychologist or a doctor to help prescribe you the medication that you need instead of abusing yourself with self-medication, then be better and take that foot forward and go for it. Other things that you could do with your life, being better with time management, I think is something that everyone always wants to improve on, or at least can definitely improve on in some ways. Are you finding yourself consumed by small tasks that take too long for your life. For instance, are you not eating correctly? Are you not working out correctly? Are you missing meetings? Are you not planning things out correctly? And I think that this is where I say educating yourself in these situations makes it first step forward, but then executing on making it better and holding that to where it is and conserving the efforts that you've put together and then improving on them continues to push your life forward. So that's pretty much the point that I really wanted to make, because like I said, I had an issue personally where my time for what I had on my radio show, it was cut. It's a radio internship class, and it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was running on Thursdays from 6 to 10, but for whatever reason it got cut short. So it is what it is. I mean, I can be angry about it. I can try to take my anger out on other people, but in all actuality, the minute I lose control and show my anger is when I'm going to basically succumb to a worse outcome. So it's extremely important not to do that, I think, and I think it shows a lot that if you're angry about something and you're lashing out because of it, it's so easy, regardless if you're trying to cover the intent as something where it looks good or not. It's not. And people will identify that. People can see it. You can see it. You'll feel it. And whether or not somebody else feels it, you have to internalize that and deal with that on your own terms. And for the most part, you're likely not going to have a good outcome with it, whether it's high blood pressure, just extra stress that you don't need. Just don't let it take itself out on you. I just think that it's important to not do that, to identify what's wrong, but work on it to be better every single time. Every single time you notice some sort of jealousy that you have of something, or some sort of envy, or if somebody's coming to you with envy and jealousy, don't try to match that. Be better every single time. And I think, as much as I don't really like to go into politics, there's a famous first lady who said, when they go low, we go high. And I think that every single time that you can do that, that your life is going to be that much better for that fact. So take it for what it is. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. I've been working so diligently. I've been enjoying this ride and just seeing it grow and watching the audience kind of respond to what I'm doing. Something else that I'm looking at doing right now, since I've been putting out newer products on the sobermotivation.com website, along with a book release with Sober Motivation to give you guys motivation on your sobriety journey. I'm looking at doing a giveaway pretty soon. So if you guys are interested in the giveaway, I'm going to probably announce it on my YouTube channel, since I think the traffic there is what gives me a lot of help. But I'm looking at probably doing a giveaway with the coffee mugs I created. I have a Sober Man and Sober Woman on the product line for Sober Motivation, and they've been getting positive traction and positive input. So I think that perhaps doing a giveaway for these mugs, if you're a female or if you're a male, depending on which of those, whoever I choose as the winner will get a free coffee mug. So I think that would be a cool thing to do. And also, just keep at it, guys. Just keep working on your goals. Don't let the negativity or just unexpected outcomes take you down to a lower level. Just realize it for what it is and keep working on it. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast episode. I know it's pretty short. I didn't want to keep it too long, but it was just something that was swirling in my head that I felt would make for good content on a podcast. And I am signing out, and I will see you all soon. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and leave some reviews in the comments section so I can get some feedback. It is deeply appreciated.